Hey everyone, it's great to see you again. Today, I would like to say thank you to the Spiritually Speaking Facebook group that I have because the beautiful members that are joining me there every single day and supporting me in that beautiful way are the ones who have chosen the topic for this episode of Dee's Mindful Monday Musings. Hello, I am Dee, and I'm so happy to be here with you again this week. And this morning, we are going to be chatting about the ways that you can hear messages from spirit, loved ones who have crossed over. And I love this topic. It's really dear to my heart because I feel like these are really, really important and healing messages that can and do come through. So, first, I'd like to talk about the reasons that maybe you might not be seeing or hearing or receiving messages in any kind of way. And there are multiple reasons for that. First of all, when we're sad and depressed and we're in such a state of deep grief, that can lower our vibration, which can make it really, really difficult for the higher frequency of love from our loved ones to come through. So that's one of the main reasons. And that is definitely not a judgment because when our loved ones cross over, and that physical loss is so profound in our reality, it's something that we have to acknowledge and work through, allow to happen because it does hurt, and we're not less in any way or weak in any way to cry about it, to be sad about it, to allow ourselves to grieve over it. It's a very necessary part of the process. However, when we're looking to receive messages from our loved ones who have crossed over, it does kind of make that more difficult, unfortunately, or sometimes it can muddle things in a way that we don't allow ourselves to see or hear or receive whatever messages are coming through. So, just being aware of this can have a really profound impact on our ability to understand why we may not be receiving these messages. So that's kind of the first thing I wanted to tell you about, because a lot of people aren't aware that the actual process of grief can interfere with the messages that our loved ones are able to deliver to us. There are many, many ways, and there's so much like I could say on this topic because I have definitely had experience with this. In many ways, like I've lost grandsons and my parents, and of course, grandparents, and, other people that were in my life also. So I am familiar with the process of grief and how it can affect us so profoundly. One thing I want to say here before I move forward into messages, because I feel like someone out there needs to hear this, and it's so, so important to understand that grief looks different for each one of us. And there are some well meaning people out there in our worlds who don't know exactly what to say to us. And they say things that are well meaning, but come across in a way that is actually hurtful or makes us feel worse than we already do. And they don't mean to do that. And if you're one of those people who doesn't know what to say, I just want to say to you that I understand that it is a very, very difficult situation and it's difficult to find words. And if you don't know what to say, just say you're sorry. Just say you're sorry. I'm here for you. And that's all you really need to say. You don't need to say anything to make the person feel better because honestly, there's nothing you can say that will make that person feel better. It's just part of the pain is just part of the process, unfortunately. So, and having said that, I would like to also say that there's no wrong way to grieve. Everyone does it differently. And I like to say, and I gave this advice to my friend many years ago when people were giving her so much advice on what she should be doing in her grief. And I told her, as long as you are taking care of your personal hygiene and you're feeding yourself, whatever way you're handling your grief, everyone does it differently. You're not doing it wrong. Some people want to get rid of everything that was belonged to that person because that's how they handle it. It doesn't mean they didn't love that person or care about them. There was a person in my family that was like that. The minute her spouse died, she got rid of everything. She wasn't able to handle it being around her like that. It just was too hard for her. And it wasn't because she didn't love him and care about him. It's just that's the way it manifested. The grief manifested in her, and she just had to do it that way. And then I've had other friends whose spouses have died, and they have, one years and years ago died, and she still sleeps in his old shirts. And neither one of those two things is wrong. It's just a very, very individual journey through the process. So please give yourself lots of grace, and whatever other people's expectations are, as well meaning as they may be, it's so important for you to embrace doing it your way, doing what works for you, what feels good for you. So I just want to say that give yourself so much grace going through the grieving process, because it is very hard, and it's a sneaky thing. It comes up on us so fast sometimes. And allow yourself room to cry. I used to really apologize for my tears when I was sad about anything or happy or whatever the case may be, whatever caused my tears. And now I just carry Kleenex. Y'all, we get to feel our emotions. So just allow yourself the permission to experience your emotions, however they show up. If you are going through anger with it, which is a very common thing, and there's no judgment here, no, I mean, there's nothing but love and understanding from me on this topic. However, I would encourage you, if you are having anger, to find a healthy outlet for that, because there are so many things that we can do in a healthy way so that we're not hurting ourselves or hurting those around us by our outbursts of anger. So, but just knowing that that is a part of the grieving process also, sometimes just knowing something helps us handle it so much better. Right. So, okay, those are little, I mean, not little, but those are some things I really wanted to bring to your attention and your awareness, so that maybe you'll find them helpful and they will be very beneficial to you. I certainly hope so, because this is a very tough topic and I understand that. So, moving into messages from spirit, I discussed how the actual grieving process can keep us from hearing those messages because we're in such a sad state. However, if we're aware of that, then we can start allowing room for those messages to come through. And one of the things that we humans like to do is we like to explain things away. So I want to tell you about some more subtle ways that things can show up for you. And if you will allow yourself to accept these things as messages from your loved ones, then you will find that you'll be receiving more and more messages just because you're allowing yourself to be open to that, right? So, one of the most common ways is butterflies will show up, and especially if it's in a certain time of the year or maybe there are flowers around, we might dismiss it as something that's just in this area this time of year. They're always around. However, it feels different when you see something like that and you're like, oh, mom or grandma or whoever it is that you're thinking about in that moment. If you're thinking about them and you have that feeling that that was them, guess what, y'all? It was them. It was them. Don't explain it away. Don't allow yourself to dismiss it as something that's just normal, because that was them. And when we allow ourselves to open up and receive that message and acknowledge that, then more messages can come in. It can be as simple as scrolling through Facebook and seeing their favorite flower or their favorite artist or whatever. It can be something really simple like that. And we'll dismiss it because, oh, it's just something someone posted on Facebook. But maybe you weren't going to see that. but you did, and you remembered that was their favorite flower. That was their favorite song, their favorite color, whatever it is. Allow yourself to receive that as a message because it is. It really truly is. And sometimes we'll, turn on the radio and then it'll be their favorite song or something like that. I actually had that experience one time when I was driving and you know, I had actually shut the radio off and I was like doing this meditation as I was driving and I was feeling like spirit wanted to communicate with me. So I said, okay, what would you like to tell me? I'm listening. I'm here. I'm all about it. I'm ready to receive the messages. And I felt like I should turn the radio back on. And I turned the radio on and I heard this song. And I was like, oh, that song sounds so familiar. And it was a song that my dad used to sing when he would come back from TDY, And I was like, wow, that's so amazing. Hi, Dad. And I just started talking to him and ended up having this beautiful conversation with him because I opened myself up to receive the message. You can ask for messages and just be aware they can show up in so many different kinds of ways. Like someone may be talking while you're standing in line at Walmart or the grocery store or whatever, and you'll hear them say something your dad used to say. And you think, oh, that's such a coincidence. No, it's not. It's not a coincidence. That was your dad popping in to say hello. And it just was that message just happened to be delivered through a stranger that you didn't even know, who didn't know your dad used to say that. How could they know that? They don't even know you, right? But that message came through and we can allow ourselves to receive it, or we can just think, oh, that was such a coincidence. It wasn't. Nothing is. I don't believe in coincidences at all. But those are some beautiful ways that just, we can miss them if we're not paying attention. We can miss them if we're choosing to explain it away as like it's just this thing that happened. That butterfly just happened to fly by. But it was you that was there when it flew by. So it's that message and allowing ourselves to receive it. And there's no wrong way to receive messages, right? Just being in that space where we're allowing it, and it brings so much, I don't want to say hope, but it brings so much love and so much memories. Those beautiful memories get to come through, and then we find we're seeing more things and hearing more things, and then, maybe you're in a full-blown conversation like I am with my parents and my grandkids and my grandparents sometimes, or even people that I didn't know in this life, like Wayne Dyer. I love talking to him sometimes. It's, and when you find yourself really missing someone, I like to say sometimes you can just really just like reminisce with them out loud. If you're afraid there's someone else around that's going to hear you, you can always choose to do it inside your mind, and that is just as effective, just so you know, because spirit communicates differently than us humans do. We have to say the words out loud, but spirit doesn't. You'll find that sometimes you'll feel like you hear it in your head and you're like, oh, I'm making that up in my mind, I'm imagining that. No, you're not. That's how spirit communicates a lot, because they don't have, I mean, they can be audible, they absolutely can, but they don't have to be. They can choose to do it another way, and the message is still there. It's still a message, right? But you can reminisce out loud with them. If you're alone in your house or you don't care if there's anyone else around, you can reminisce out loud with them and just talk about the times you had, your favorite things you did together, these quiet, special moments that you had together. And you'll find that when you start doing that and allowing the possibility of the communication to come through, you'll start getting more and more communication, because guess what, y'all? We are all capable of seeing, hearing, and experiencing spirit. We're all capable of it. Just most of us don't allow it for so many different reasons, because it's been programmed into us by well-meaning parents, grandparents, loved ones, church, school, everywhere. I mean, there's so many people that we come in contact with in this world, right? But if you allow the possibility for it, we're all capable of doing it. Some of us shut it down because we're scared. Like I've actually interviewed people who communicate with spirit in one way, but they're like, I don't want to see spirit. That scares me. So I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to accept that into my world. And so they don't see spirit because they choose to communicate audibly or through dreams or visions or other things like that, but they don't want to see spirit. That's not their thing. It scares them, so they don't accept it. But if you are open to it and you practice allowing more and more communication, you'll be able to have that experience too. If you would like to have that experience, you don't have to. Any kind of communication isn't less or more than someone else's. That is something that is just simply not true. If the butterfly comes to you and that's a beautiful message from your mom, but the next person hears their mom or the next person sees their mom, they're all messages. They're all love from that person that's crossed over on the other side. So making it not as important if you see one thing as opposed to the other is just going to interfere with you receiving those messages because it's all important. It all means something. It's all amazing and just this incredible way for our loved ones on the other side to show us that they're still there and they're watching over us and they're sending us that love and they're there for so many special things that we, I like to say that they're having all the fun because they get to be anywhere they want to be and not miss anything anymore. Like it doesn't matter if they lived out of state and they couldn't make it to your kid's birthday party when they were earthbound. Now they get to be there and they get to be there for your siblings' kids' birthdays too, or the wedding, or the job promotion or whatever it is. They get to be there for that too, because there's no limitations for them anymore. Right? So just allow yourself. I mean, I think that's the biggest messages here is to allow yourself to make room for those messages to come in. And don't beat yourself up on the days that you're sad and you're really missing them and they don't show up because you're in that lower vibration because you're sad and depressed about it. Give yourself grace. Let yourself be sad. We get to be sad sometimes because this shit hurts. I mean, this shit hurts. It does. And some days we can talk about it and we're so strong and we don't cry. And then the next day we can't talk about it at all without crying. And guess what? Either way is fine. Either way is perfect. Either way is perfect. It's just a beautiful thing either way. Like I said, if you're crying about it, keep your Kleenex handy, wipe your tears, allow yourself to experience those emotions. If your emotions make other people uncomfortable, that is not your responsibility. You get to feel those emotions. And if you're sad, you're sad. And if you're happy, you're happy. And if you can talk about it and laugh and reminisce and tell the funny stories and all of that, that's great. But if you talk about it and you cry while you're telling the funny story, that's okay too. And those emotions are also communication from spirit, you know? I mean, like just think about it. When you think about how you feel when you're talking about some of these things, even if you're crying and you're like sad because you're missing them, but you're talking about this beautiful story and you feel the love from that person as you're talking about that story, that's communication. Feeling the love is communication. It doesn't always have to be a picture or an image. And by image, I mean seeing a an actual spirit. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be a song. It can just be such a simple thing as talking about them and feeling the love during that conversation. That's communication too. And we dismiss all of these things, or I shouldn't say all of these things, so many of these things sometimes because we think that it's supposed to show up in a certain way. That if we're not seeing that certain thing, then we're not getting the communication. And because we're so focused on that one thing, this was a rock that was my dad's, by the way. I'm talking about this. My parents crossed over almost 3 years ago. And I had this rock sitting in front of me and I just wanted to hold it. I invite you not to make it more complicated than it is. Just allowing room for it, allowing yourself to give permission for it to show up differently than you think it might. Because sometimes we focus so hard on, well, if it's my mom, it has to be a butterfly. And it could be, and it may be a butterfly. But what if it's her favorite bird? And because we were so focused on the butterfly, we missed the hummingbird. Or we're so focused on the hummingbird that we forgot to hear the mourning dove sing. That's what happened to me the other morning with my mom. I saw the hummingbird, which was, she loved hummingbirds. And then it wasn't long after that, I heard a mourning dove, and I was like, oh my gosh, both of her favorite birds in one morning. That's amazing. And what did I say? I acknowledged it. Good morning, mom. Good morning, mom. Oh my gosh, your other favorite bird. That's incredible. Holy crap, mom, you're really around today. Thank you. Acknowledging, thanking them for stopping in and showing you these signs and allowing you to feel the love. That opens up the door for more of that to come in. And you'll start noticing more and more things. And, sometimes if we feel like they came around, because this is something that's been said around me here recently too, like they were around for a while. For a while after they died, I saw them all the time. And then but I haven't seen them for a while and I don't hear them and the signs aren't there anymore. Other things in our life can get in the way too. If we have too much stress at work, if we're allowing ourselves to be stressed out about money, or having arguments with our spouse or kid or whatever, or our best friend, we're having some kind of conflict, something going on there that's drawing our attention, that can interfere with messages too. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's just that your mind is so full of other things. So allowing yourself to get back into nature is a great idea. Get your bare feet on the earth. I've been talking about grounding so much lately, but I feel like it's super important because we have to stay connected in our physical body as well as our spiritual body. So allowing yourself to get back into nature and experience some quiet, especially if you have a lot of conflict or chaos going in your life for whatever reason it happens to be, because those things manifest in so many different ways. I wouldn't possibly have time to list them all. But allowing yourself to have some quiet time so that you can hear the voice of your own soul, and then you can communicate more and those signs will start coming back in again. But when there's so much noise from the chaos and the frustration and the stress, that can interfere too. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just life happens sometimes and we put our focus in places and we forget to allow room for the other stuff because we're human. And that's part of being human is we're not we still have that. We still have that human connection, and it's different. It's different when we're human than it is when we're just in that spiritual realm and we don't have the human experience um, affecting things. That wasn't the word, influencing things. There we go. We don't have that human experience influencing things, but we get to here. And so we get to allow ourselves to notice the beauty and to give ourselves time and to be mindful. And when you find yourself in a place where you're not sure what's going on, just take a look at things in your life that are say to yourself, what am I doing? What's distracting me from this? What's keeping my focus right now? And just notice it. Notice it, because when you are aware of it, then you can shift your focus into other things. You can say, oh, well, I've been really stressed out. I've been scrolling Facebook too much or whatever it is, which was the case with me recently. And I had to reevaluate and stop scrolling Facebook so much and start getting out into nature more and opening up the curtains and letting the light in the house and different things like that, whatever it is for you. But just start evaluating, noticing what's going on in my life that's got me so focused that I'm not allowing room for these messages and these signs to come through. And then give yourself permission to take a few minutes each day to get out in nature, get your bare feet on the earth, drink water, if you can't get outside, then do some sort of visualization that will allow you to ground. And, there's one thing I just discovered also and I think it's so cool, is there's virtual walking tours on YouTube. It's amazing. And there's some really beautiful ones. There's some that go through parks, and there's a couple Hogwarts ones that I found that are really cool. So if you can't actually get outside, if that's not something you're able to do, then go on YouTube and find some of those virtual videos, and then just allow yourself to take even 5 minutes and just connect with the nature and allow yourself to slow down, allow your mind to just relax and give yourself permission to allow those messages from your loved ones to come in and just connect. Just allow yourself to connect. It really is that simple. We humans, we love to complicate things and make it take all this work and all of this diligence and all of that stuff. And sometimes it's just us not doing anything, but just allowing ourselves to be and reconnect with who we truly are. And that allows us connect with our loved ones even more profoundly. And maybe it's your first time and you're listening to this and you're like, I've never had that experience. I invite you to do the things that I've talked about and see what happens for you. And if you do that, I would love for you to come back in here and comment or send me an email or join my Spiritually Speaking Facebook group. The link is always in the description box below every video I post, whether it's a podcast or the D's Mindful Monday Musings. Join us there. Share your stories. Share your experiences. Let me know how it works for you. And if it opens up more messages for you, I would love to hear that, because it's so exciting. I know from personal experience, especially with my parents, how important and how healing it can be. So I'd love for you to share your stories with me around this topic. If you have any comments, questions, whatever it is, please comment, send me an email if you'd rather do that. Join the group, come in there, put up a post and share it with her. There's always the anonymous post feature. If you don't want to put your name attached to it, that's fine too. The people in the group are so beautiful and so kind, and they will support you. And we can, this is how we learn from each other, because maybe there's someone out there waiting for you to share your story of like, hey, I heard this idea on Dee's video and I gave it a shot and this is what happened. Holy crap, you won't believe it. I didn't think I was going to be able to do something like that, but I did it and it worked. Man, I would love to hear those stories. So please share them. I just really invite you to share them in the comments, in an email, join the group, share them in there, whatever you feel like you need to do, what you would like to do. But it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm sending all the love and light and amazing high vibrations to you so that you can feel that warmth wrapping around you right now, and you feel the courage to just do some of these things and see how it works for you. And thank you all. Thank you all. And just as a reminder, I am still, till the end of this month, I am still doing 55% off all of my services. So if you would like an intuitive card reading, or you would love to become involved in my mentorship programs, then I invite you to do that because these prices probably won't be around ever again, and they're there right now for the end of through the end of the month. So I invite you because I would love to work with you. I'd love to do a card reading for you. Um, I want to say thank you to everyone. And I know I've been doing this a lot lately, but I really do appreciate you. So thank you all for being involved in my life and the way that you are through these amazing YouTube platform. It has helped me so much and it still does every day with my favorite people that I love listening to. So if I can be a part of that for someone else, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So thank you for being involved. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Please, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Share the videos with people you feel would benefit from hearing this information. And I hope you have an amazing week. I will see you on the next These Mindful Monday Musings. As always, I love you all. Take good care.